Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Hair, and this is another episode of Let's Play Custom Robo. When we last left off, Oboro tried to dive into Rahu, and, we had to fight him, and Rahu was like, no, and, we won though, so we're good. And Sergey actually switched sides because he was never really on Oboro's side, but he was serving the actual original leader of Z, and the leader turned out to be our father. And it was kind of confusing, especially since I didn't say what happened in order, so sorry. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. We're about to find out how they originally stopped Rahu from destroying everyone and all that stuff. Wait a sec, you said Rahu was inoperative, so how did we stop Rahu last time? Rahu possesses no form of its own. It was more like a spirit than a living creature. What? No form? That doesn't make any sense. We saw it. It looked like a custom Robo. I'll explain that later. Let me continue, though. Originally, Rahu was invisible, formless, but still physical, still capable of inflicting damage. We couldn't see it, but it was a real creature, and it evolved rapidly. Evolved? Not in the traditional sense, but yes, that's correct. Rahu has two fundamental behaviors. The first is to acquire new targets, in that case us. Once it identifies its prey, Rahu destroys it, swiftly and utterly. It appropriates any useful abilities its victim possessed, anything it has not encountered before. Then, like chrysalis, is that it? I'm not sure. Anyway, it goes dormant, awakens with new skills, and continues to hunt. Metamorphosis. I guess it really is evolving. So what you're saying is that it targets a creature with abilities it doesn't have and steals them? Then it turns into a pupa, rests for a bit, then changes into an even scarier monster? Yeah, that just about sums it up. That's just a secondary behavior though. Its primary function is to annihilate every living thing. So it's invisible. It can learn everything we can do, and it wants to kill everything? Right. So what can we do? I mean, other than just roll over and die? How did they stop it hundreds of years ago when it was running amok? Custom Robos. It was because of Custom Robos that we were able to defeat Rahu. Custom Robos? Yes, back then Custom Robos were nothing but children's toys, like robotic action figures. It may sound strange, but even now, there is much we do not know about Custom Robos. Rahu's destructive rampage was at its peak, and we were all but extinct. Then suddenly, Rahu targeted a young child's Robo toy. Then something inexplicable happened. Rahu merged with the Robo. Melded itself with the Robo. That's weird. Why did it do that? I'm not sure. Some people think there's a connection between Rahu and the custom Robo. It almost sounds like Rahu did a dive into that custom Robo and, I don't know, got stuck or something. And that's why it looks like it the way it does. That's why we can't even see it in the first place. Excuse me. That's correct. Now that our enemy was visible, we had a chance to fight back, and we seized it. The governments remodeled custom Robos as weapons to battle Rahu's new Robo form. Finally, after many grueling battles, we defeated Rahu. Actually, let me correct myself. We didn't defeat it, but we were able to trigger its dormant cycle. That dormant Rahu had no new information to assimilate, so it didn't evolve and didn't awaken. We couldn't destroy Rahu. Instead, we bought ourselves some time. So that's the rest of the story. We didn't know. But wait, don't you think it's a little funny? Rahu was capable of destroying the entire world, and we stopped it with a child's toy? I know what you're thinking. Rahu couldn't be stopped simply with custom Robos. There was something else. A device designed to stop Rahu by targeting his Robo systems. A device? Sergey, why should we trust you? You're a member of the Z Syndicate now, and a traitor. Even if you're telling the truth, why does it matter? What's your point? You're right, it doesn't matter. Let me ask you, Roy, when did you first find out about Rahu's attack? Why are you suddenly... I first learned about the truth when I became an S-Class commander. How about you, Captain Mira? It was the same. I didn't know until I was promoted. Don't you think that's odd? What? This is the single most significant and traumatic event in human history, and no one knows? It's classified knowledge. The government dictates who should and should not know. But how could they stop the survivors from passing these stories to their children? The People respect the word of the government. They know it's confidential. Do you actually believe the government has the power to silence such a terrible thing? Can you think of any other reason why no one has ever talked about this horrific event? It does seem difficult to imagine. So many years have passed and no one knew the full scope of it. Even becoming a Class S commander didn't explain everything. The reason this is such a well-kept secret is because the survivors chose to keep it a secret. It's because their memories were wiped clean. It's a secret because no one was allowed to remember. What? Oh, for crying out loud. Look, this is all starting to get real confusing here. What you're saying is that everyone, I mean everyone, forgot about Rahu entirely? That's correct. That's impossible. What could possibly make everyone just forget about this all at once? Oh, nothing could make that happen. Naturally. Are you saying there's someone devised a way to erase every living human's memory entirely? Yes. The engineers of this foolish plan wanted to erase everyone's memories and implant false ones. Our government carried out this plan hundreds of years ago, once the dome was completed. What? The government found a way to make everyone forget about Rahu? Yes. The world exists entirely within the dome. Outside the dome, there is nothing. We all raised thinking that this dome is our true home, and where we will live and die. That is the great lie. The memory implant told us that this dome contained mankind's entire world. But why? Rahu will awaken. It is inevitable. Could you have lived a normal life knowing Rahu would return? But never knowing when, I see. It was just to give us the sense of security, even if it was a lie. But how is that possible? What could possibly erase everyone's memories like that? I don't know, but they did it. They made a device that could erase everyone's memory. I can't believe it. I'm sure you would have heard of something like that. Captain Mira, I've already told you. There are some things not even S-class commanders have been told. How do I know you didn't make this whole story up? I suppose you have no other evidence. Except one of those devices still exists to this very day. Really? Where is it? I got it! Harry, you do? It's at the lab. The Custom Robo Research Lab. That's why Z Syndicate was there. You're right. You're the man, Harry. No, it's not at the lab. I thought so. Harry's not that smart. There's no way he could have figured it out before me. Poor Harry. So, where is it? Harry. Yes? Your father's watch. That's the device. It can erase people's memories. You've had it all along. What? Harry's watch? That's why Z's leader said something about defeating Rahu with Harry's watch. I see. The device that was used to defeat Rahu was the one that could erase people's minds. Yes. Hundreds of years ago, that very device helped us defeat Rahu. Sergei, why does Harry have it? How did something like that wind up with him? What was Harry's father like? He was just a distinguished scientist, one of the highest-ranking officials in the government. That is why he was told the truth. We all live with false memories, implanted by the government. When he learned that people had been deprived of the truth for so long, he began to have doubts. He questioned the ethics of the plan, and knew that Rahu would rise once again. Marcia, my leader told me where your power came from. It was a result of the Erasure, a side effect. Right now, every aspect of the brain's development is controlled. The side effect was unexpected. Nobody realized that the dramatic change in environment and the memory blocks and implants would generate this effect. No one could explain what exactly created Marcia's power. Marcia, your power is born from the tragedy humans suffered hundreds of years ago. Okay. This might be a short episode because I think it's just going to be talking, but we'll probably upload another episode after this. There should be one up later today. Let's get back to the subject. You said that Harry's father had doubts about the false memories? Was he the only one in the government who felt this way? He must have been something. He was. He stole the only remaining model of the memory eraser device. He escaped into the outside world with several of his colleagues. I'm sure the government must have been quick to send someone after them. Yes. The government soldiers had one goal, to retrieve the memory eraser device. They searched all over the outside world for him, but he was also one step ahead. Instead of taking the device with him into exile, he hid it inside the dome city itself. He reconfigured it into that watch so no one would be able to identify it. And then he gave the watch to Erasure. Yes, to the one person he could trust. Someone who didn't know the power of the object he held. That's why, when your leader formed the Z Syndicate, and all this time the Z Syndicate's goal has actually been to inform people of the truth. It was at first. We wanted people to know the truth, to prepare themselves in case Rahu did attack again. But as time passed, he began to worry, to doubt himself. He began to worry that informing everyone of the truth would only trigger mass panic. He realized that it might be best to find a way to stop Rahu without having people know about it. That was the moment when my leader formed a syndicate made up of the strongest fighters. Strong fighters. And that's when he recruited you? I wanted to save this ruined world. In order to do that, I knew I would have to help him. He told me he needed someone to support him, no matter how insane his orders might seem. But you could have told Marcia before you left. You owed her at least that much, didn't you? To be honest, I had planned on leaving Marcia before I met your father. Ouch. That's kind of mean. My sister would do anything I told her. If I stayed, she never would have left my shadow. It was unacceptable, unthinkable. I wanted her to think for herself, to grow into the commander she is. I thought that if I weren't around, she would have the opportunity she needed to think for herself. That's why I left the way I did. But I always watched over her. I would have come to her aid in a second if she were ever in danger. I left, even though I knew I ran the risk of alienating her, of making her hate me for leaving her. Sergei, I've learned something. My partners taught me something more valuable than I realized. Spoiling someone isn't love. Sometimes you need to be strict in order to be compassionate. That's when I figured it out. That's when I knew my older brother still cared about me. That he still loved me. And I wondered if that wasn't why you had left me in the first place. They helped me to understand. And that's why I still love you. Thank you, Sergei. There's a fly flying around me and it's really annoying. You've grown strong. You've grown so strong, Marcia. The more I hear about this, the more complicated the situation gets. I agree. Still, after hearing all of that, it sounds like Z formed in order to help out mankind. But what about Oboro? That guy wanted Rahu for himself. When our leader grew ill, Oboro and Eliza made a grab for power. That's when it began to crumble. The more they knew about Rahu's amazing powers, the more they wanted to possess it. They'd forgotten our leader's goals, and they planned such foolishness as diving into Rahu. I guess there's always one selfish sicko in every group. I acted as Oboro's subordinate while looking for a chance to strike back. But wait, why was Eliza at the lab? Did it have something to do with Rahu? Oboro and Eliza both knew the memory eraser device was the key to destroying Rahu, but they didn't know our leader had already stolen it. He was never sure he could trust them. They wanted that device so they could tame Rahu for their own ends instead of destroying it. Eliza must have thought that the custom Robo research lab would have such a device. That's why she attacked the lab. See? Just as I thought. Eliza thought the device was at the research lab. I am smart. I think just like the Z Syndicate's leaders. Which simply shows how flawed her thinking truly is. Ouch. We've spoken long enough. Here, may I borrow your watch? I have a chip your father gave me. I'm going to insert it into your watch now. Once I've inserted the chip, the watch memory eraser and functions will be restored. I guess we give it to him. I understand. I'll give you my watch. Thank you. Please wait while I insert the chip. Okay, everyone, that's going to be the episode. I'm sorry it's just a talking episode. There'll be another episode up later today, unless something goes horribly wrong, like, me dying. I hope not, because that would suck, But next episode will have actually a lot of fighting in it. So, thanks for watching. You've been awesome, but you'd be even more awesome if you wanted to comment, rate, and subscribe, or, whatever. But have an awesome day, /night, /morning, /evening, /whatever other vaguely specific time of day there is. And that's about it. See ya. The crusty crab pizza is the pizza. Okay.